Hunter S. Thompson, hedonistic outlaw or a literary genius. You know, the drug-fueled, gun-slinging writer, a real-life Grand Theft Auto character. But that risks oversimplifying things, as he had a razor-sharp mind and wielded a typewriter like a weapon. From an LSD-infused road trip, he wrote a manic manifesto that led to a new form of literary movement and worldwide fame. February 20th, 2005. He was at his home in Colorado with family visiting. Shortly after waking up, mind you at 5 p.m, he had breakfast, fruits covered with jello and gin and a glass of whiskey on the rocks. He sat at his typewriter, typed one word and fired a bullet through his brains. He was 67. So what drove him to such a violent suicide? This is the story of how one man's proclivity for drugs, rebellion and chaos inspired his larger-than-life alter ego. Hunter S. Thompson lived on the edge and burned the candle at both ends. A Grand Theft Auto non-playable character, an outlaw in the flesh. At Owl Farm in Woody Creek, Colorado, his ramshackle compound was a fortress of rebellion. Whiskey bottles piled high, psychedelics like mescaline stashed in drawers, guns stacked like trophies, peacocks screeching in the yard. This was the man cave where Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas was forged.
Get out! You chicken shit bastard! Let me shoot 7%! Bird shot, you asshole!
The people who did this Declaration of Independence and the Constitution were good people.
How you like this?
And it's a good place. Here we are in the middle of it, right up on the mountain. If this son of a bitch wants to bitch about his cows over here and shoot at me, well, it's our country. It's not theirs. It's not a bunch of used car dealers from Southern California. Democracy, you have to be a partner.
Owl Farm was a museum of the bizarre. Skulls, taxidermy, Native American artifacts, and random memorabilia littered the space. Hunter would rearrange these during drug-fueled binges, creating shrines to his chaotic aesthetic.
You know, I hate to advocate drugs or liquor, violence, insanity to anyone, but in my case, it's worked.
All right, here's his daily routine. 3 p.m., rise. 3:05, Chivas Regal with morning papers. Smokes Dunhills. 3:45, cocaine. 3:50, another glass of Chivas, another Dunhill. 4:05 p.m., by the way, first cup of coffee and a Dunhill. 4:15, cocaine. 4:16, orange juice and another Dunhill. 4:30, cocaine. 4:54, cocaine. 5:05, cocaine. 5:11, coffee, Dunhills. 5:30, get more ice in the Chivas. Cocaine at 5:45, 6 o'clock, smoking grass, take the edge off the day. 7 p.m.
The day, 3 hours into it.
3 hours in, lit. 7:05, Woody Creek Tavern for lunch. Heineken, 2 margaritas, coleslaw, a taco salad, double order of fried onion rings, carrot cake, ice cream, a bean fritter, Dunhills, another Heineken, cocaine, and for the rest of the ride home, a snow cone, a glass of shredded ice, which is poured over 4 jiggers of Chivas. Okay, so the snow cone is Chivas, okay? 9 p.m., start snorting cocaine seriously, it says. 10 p.m., drops acid. 11 p.m. chartreuse, I don't know what that is, cocaine and grass. 11:30, cocaine, etc., etc. 12, midnight, Hunter S. Thompson is ready to write.
Wow.
That's when he sits down to write. 12:05 to 6 a.m. he writes. Chartreuse, cocaine, grass, Chivas, coffee, Heineken, clove cigarettes, grapefruit, Dunhills, orange juice, gin, continuous pornographic movies. 6 a.m. in the hot tub with champagne, Dove bars, fettuccine Alfredo. 8 a.m. Halcyon, just sleeping pill. 8:20, sleep.
E. Jean Carroll's satirical depiction of Hunter S. Thompson's daily routine in Hunter. The strange and savage life of Hunter S. Thompson portrays a chaotic whirlwind of alcohol and drug-fueled excess. Intended as jest, the exaggerated account solidified Thompson's mythic Gonzo outlaw persona, obscuring the line between reality and legend. This humorous portrayal amplified the cult of Hunter, turning his wild lifestyle into a cultural icon. But there's some truth to his manic existence, and his days often bled into nights, fueled by gin, LSD, and adrenaline. He'd blast shotguns at homemade targets, crank Bob Dylan on a battered stereo, and ride his motorcycle through the snow-dusted hills, defying the straight world's rules. He threw parties that raged till dawn, booze-soaked chaos, friends and strangers crashing through his doors, a carnival of the unhinged. Hunter loved setting off fireworks and homemade explosives, often rigging elaborate displays or detonating them impulsively, not out of destruction, but to embrace raw, visceral energy.
One of his favorite things was to get a gallon jar and fill it with gasoline. And I'm standing about 20 feet away. He says, "No, stand right here behind me." I said, "Hunter, if I stand here and you catch fire, I'm gonna catch fire." So I'll just stand over there. He gave me a really disgusted look.
He'd occasionally herd peacocks with a broom or firecrackers for amusement. He also had a pet Doberman named Agar, whom he'd rile up during parties. He would guzzle whiskey and gobble acid, then tear through the desert in his red Chevrolet convertible, tires screaming, with a manic grin, chasing the edge of oblivion. Drugs and alcohol would fuel his manic writing session, where he'd type nonsensical manifestos or letters to friends, sometimes firing guns between paragraphs to clear his head. Love him or hate him, this infamous alter ego, known as Raoul Duke, fueled by drugs, booze, and bravado, became inseparable from his legacy.
If you type out somebody's work, you can learn a lot about, and basically it's music, I think.
Yeah.
And, from typing out parts of Faulkner, Hemingway, Fitzgerald. I mean, these were just, these were writers that were very big in my life and the lives of the people around me. So yeah, I wanted to learn from the best, I guess.
As a teenager and young adult, Hunter S. Thompson meticulously typed out novels like F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby, which he considered the perfect novel, and Ernest Hemingway's A Farewell to Arms to study their rhythms and techniques. His writing style was profoundly shaped by literary giants, particularly Fitzgerald's critique of the American dream and Hemingway's raw, direct prose and adventurous spirit, which influenced both Thompson's early works and lifestyle. Additionally, George Orwell's Down and Out in Paris and London sparked his empathy for outsiders, while Joseph Conrad's dark explorations of human nature and Jack Kerouac's beat energy fueled his chaotic, immersive voice, which he blended into a singular Gonzo style. In 1971, Hunter was assigned by Sports Illustrated to cover the Mint 400, a chaotic motorcycle and dune buggy race in the Nevada desert. Tasked with a brief sports report, he instead plunged into a drug-fueled odyssey, producing a sprawling, anarchic manuscript that captured the race's disorienting futility. Bikes and buggies kicking up blinding dust, as he wrote, a big, high-powered clusterfuck. Nobody could see anything. Sports Illustrated rejected his manuscript for its wild departure from conventional journalism, but Thompson, undaunted, took it to Rolling Stone. There, with Ralph Steadman's twisted illustrations, it became Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, his defining masterpiece.
Suddenly, there was a terrible roar all around us, and the sky was full of what looked like huge bats, all swooping and screeching and diving around the car. And a voice was screaming, "Holy Jesus, where are these goddamn animals?" Good. Hey,
Say something!
never mind. We had 2 bags of grass, 75 pellets of mescaline, 5 sheets of high-powered blotter acid, a salt shaker half full of cocaine, a whole galaxy of multicolored uppers, downers, screamers, laughers, also a quarter tequila, quarter rum, case of beer, pint of raw ether, 2 dozen emu. Not that we needed all that for the trip, but once you get locked into a serious drug collection, the tendency is to push it as far as you can.
Thompson, as his alter ego Raoul Duke, delivered a fever dream of excess, chasing the American dream gone rotten through a haze of LSD, mescaline, and booze. Often called counselor, Duke's manic, rebellious persona blurred fact and fiction, embodying Gonzo journalism's raw, subjective spirit, while slashing at society's hypocrisies with a devil-may-care grin.
My attorney had never been able to accept the notion, often espoused by former drug abusers, that you can get a lot higher without drugs than with them. And neither have I, for that matter. There I was. Mother of God. There I am. Holy fuck. Clearly I was a victim of the drug explosion.
This chaotic tale's roots trace back to Hunter's earlier dives into society's outcasts, renegades thriving beyond the mainstream's reach. In 1965, he rode with the Hells Angels, their bikes roaring like thunder, sharing their beer and enduring a brutal beating when they turned on him.
When he wrote Hell's Angels, he hadn't really totally formulated that sort of Gonzo style of journalism, but he did have a little bit of fiction mixed in with that, and that sort of ran him afoul of the Hell's Angels. They were very upset by that, right? Like he did write some things in there that they claim were not accurate.
Thompson knew that the media was sensationalizing the Hell's Angel front, and he said, hey, here's a Newsweek article. Here's a Time article. Here's how everybody's writing about you. All I want to do is write the truth about who you are. And he did, and he ended up writing with them, and he ended up spending time with them. I don't think they got as mad at him about the way he portrayed them. I think they got mad that he began to make money or that he became famous. Hell's Angels sold 500,000 paperback copies. That is almost impossible to imagine today.
Junkie George is beating his old lady. And Junkie George is stiff. You walked right up to him and you said, only a punk beats his wife and dog. And you backed up.
You finished.
And he said, Hunter, you want some of this. And you said no. But you got it anyway. And when he hit you, 3 or 4 others of them hit you too.
My face looked like it had been jammed into the spokes of a speeding Harley, and the only thing keeping me awake was the spastic pain of a broken rib. It had been a bad trip, fast and wild in some moments, slow and dirty in others, but on balance it looked like a bummer. On my way back to San Francisco, I tried to compose a fitting epitaph. I wanted something original, but there was no escaping the echo of Mr. Kurt's final words from the heart of darkness. The horror, exterminate all the brutes. His book, Hell's Angels, the strange and terrible saga of the outlaw motorcycle gangs, was raw, unfiltered, and deeply personal, laying the foundation for Gonzo journalism, where the writer becomes the story. Fear and Loathing perfected this, torching the rulebook to make truth louder, weirder, and more alive than ever. When the going gets weird, Thompson wrote, the weird turn pro. He drank with Ken Kesey's merry pranksters, lost in their acid-fueled dreams, laughing under starlit skies as these free spirits spurned the straight and narrow for psychedelic drugs, communal living, and defiance. Thompson believed outcasts revealed truths the mainstream ignored. Thompson's creation of Gonzo journalism prioritized subjective, immersive reporting, blending personal experiences over sterile objective reporting, embedding himself in the story. As a writer, he was a literary figure, crafting vivid satirical prose with a novelistic flair, blending fact and fiction to critique society. It has inspired the likes of Anthony Bourdain, Shane Smith from Vice, and today, its echoes ripple through various novels, blogs and vlogs where storytellers dare to be unfiltered. According to Jan Wenner of Rolling Stones magazine, Hunter S. Thompson wanted this larger-than-life persona, but ultimately became a hostage to that character. As he aged, this image led to his ridicule, reducing him to a caricature akin to a comic book character. Gary Trudeau's Doonesbury strip introduced Uncle Duke, a character directly inspired by Thompson's literary alter ego, Raoul Duke. Wenner believed Thompson should have legally challenged Trudeau's use of his persona. Instead, Thompson embraced the caricature, declaring, "If they want Uncle Duke, I'll give them Uncle Duke times 5, amplifying his wild persona to reclaim control." But in the end, many believed Hunter did become in a way a prisoner of his own fame. In the days before his suicide on February 20th, 2005, Hunter S. Thompson penned a note titled, "Football Season is Over," later published by Rolling Stone, exposing his despair over self-destructive habits, diminishing creativity, aging, and deteriorating health. Most of his close friends and family were unsurprised by his death, as he had frequently spoken about taking his own life for some time, hinting at his intentions with grim resolve.
Football season's over. No more games, no more bombs, no more walking, no more fun, no more swimming. 67. That's 17 years past 50. 17 more than I needed or wanted. Boring. I'm always bitchy. No fun for anybody. 67. You're getting greedy. Act your old age. Relax. This won't hurt.
Hunter S. Thompson carved a path few would dare follow. A libertine thriving on society's fringes, embracing chaos, drugs, and rebellion with unapologetic fervor. Defying age, he was born old, yet remained eternally young, living his mantra, "Buy the ticket, take the ride," with the same ferocious intensity that defined his Gonzo prose. Typing counselor before putting a bullet in his head was a final nod to the notorious persona he created, tying his last act to his most celebrated work.
Hunter S. Thompson was a lot of things: a journalist, an author, a patriot, a professional troublemaker, a complex walking monument to misbehavior, who apparently took his own life with a gun last night.
He'd spoken about it when I first went to Owl Farm in 1972. The first time, he said, "I'd feel real trapped in this life right now if I didn't know that I could commit suicide at any moment."
And we had spoken about it, over the years, he brought it up. I gotta have I need the cannon, That's how I gotta go. I know somewhere in his crooked mind, I know that he knew that I was the only one, perhaps loyal enough, perhaps insane enough to attempt it.
In true Raoul Duke fashion, he exited as he lived, his ashes blasted from a cannon shaped like his iconic Gonzo fist symbol, fulfilling his audacious final wish with a spectacular bang. Life should not be a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely in a pretty and well-preserved body. No sympathy for the devil. Keep that in mind. Buy the ticket. Take the ride. And if it occasionally gets a little heavier than what you had in mind, well, maybe chalk it up to forced consciousness expansion. Tune in, freak out, get beaten. Thompson took the ride, and his words still challenge us to this day. The needle leans down on 100. The windburn eyeballs strain to see down the center line. No room at all for mistakes. But with the throttle screwed on, there is only the barest margin and no room at all for mistakes. It has to be done right. And that's when the strange music starts. The edge. There is no honest way to explain it, because the only people who really know where it is are the ones who have gone over. The others, the living, are those who pushed their control as far as they felt they could handle it and then pulled back or slowed down or did whatever they had to when it came time to choose between now and later. But the edge is still out there.